Yoshioka Yuko, a high school student, wakes up to the sound of her phone ringing with texts from pals at the beginning of the novel. Yuko's first day of high school is today, and she is running really late. She has had the illness ever since her school's admission ceremony a week ago. Her buddy advises her to take a day off as she won't be able to go to school on time. Yuko's sister unexpectedly bursts through her door with a phone, telling her that one of her classmates is on the other end. Yuko answers the phone, confused, and gives a trembling greeting to the caller. Matsubarakan, the class president, is the one on the opposite side. She has a really lovely voice. So much so that even before she sees his face, Yuko falls in love with him right away. Matsubara asks Yuko if she's feeling okay, and then tells her that tomorrow is the day after tomorrow they will be conducting an orientation program, and then a medical checkup for the pupils. When Yuko returns to school the next day, she can't help but wonder what Matsubara might seem like in person. She is still experiencing symptoms of her fever, though, and she begins to feel lightheaded in the hallway. Someone pulls her as she starts to pass out from sickness. She hears Matsubara's well-known voice greeting her and inquiring about her well-being. When an ecstatic Yuko glances up, she is met with an odd sight. A brown paper bag is covering Matsubara's whole face. His face is depicted on the bag with 2 dots for eyes and a goofy smile. However, Yuko's enthusiasm is unabated, and she briskly introduces herself. Matsubara observes that she still has a fever nevertheless. He assumes the responsibility of taking her to the school clinic as the class representative. As the instructor is taking attendance in their class, she discovers that Matsubara is not there. When Yuichi, his boyhood buddy, starts to defend him, a girl by the name of Midori Kawa interrupts and invents a reason for Matsubara's absence. The attending nurse is nowhere to be found at the school clinic. Matsubara decides to take care of Yuko as a result. He gives her a moist cloth to wipe her forehead and promises her not to push herself too hard in the future. Yuko is not put off by Matsubara's strange headwear, and her talkative, animated demeanor around him suggests that she is extremely fond of him. Yuko's obsession with Matsubara doesn't end the next morning when she meets him outside of school and goes with him to their lesson. Unbeknownst to them, a small group of students surreptitiously snap their picture in order to protest to Hayato Makoto, the president of the school council, about Matsubara's peculiar headpiece. Matsubara has a talk with his boyhood buddy Yuichi, but Makoto, a rigorous student who does not allow his peers disobeying traditional clothing codes, is planning to confront Matsubara later in class. Yuichi did not think the paper bag strange as he and Matsubara have been buddies since junior high. He does, however, add that the other pupils in the class find this strange and keep chatting behind Matsubara's back. Aki, Yuko's friend, storms into the classroom at that precise moment with the aim of confronting Matsubara. She immediately cuts the 2 companions off in their talk and asks Matsubara what he's hiding beneath the paper bag. Yuichi attempts to stop her from asking such impolite questions, but she persists. Matsubara is trapped and unable to escape at this point, but luckily Yuko gives a loud sneeze, drawing all eyes to her. Yuko, feeling awkward at being thrown into the spotlight so quickly, starts by introducing herself to her students. She continues talking endlessly, diverting everyone's attention from Matsubara. She shares her favorite dish and exhorts everyone to become friends with her. Using this opportunity, Matsubara also gives a brief introduction to the class and states that he sincerely wants to be friends with everyone. Everyone is won over by this sincere speech, and the heated mood from before becomes a pleasant one. After that, everyone in the class heads to the gym to practice hoops. A few individuals continue to mock Matsubara's paper bag. However, most of the pupils are amazed by his physical prowess as he starts to play and easily scores numerous points. Following practice, Yuko and Matsubara have a conversation in which the latter thanks Yuko for saving him from a difficult situation earlier in class. However, Midori Kawa interrupts them and requests to speak with him alone. It's clear from her actions that she too has feelings for Matsubara. However, Hayato storms into the gymnasium and violently confronts Matsubara before they can have a private conversation. He expresses his distaste for pupils who don't follow the school's clothing code in no uncertain terms. As Hayato gets to know Matsubara even better, he asks the curious pupils how anybody can put their confidence in someone who covers his face with a paper bag. Then, he picks Yuko out of the throng and invites her to go forward. When he asks if Yuko is aware of Matsubara's character, she is only able to answer incoherently. She attempts to protect him, but she is unable to do so because of Hayato and his deputy's relentless stares. All of a sudden, Midorikawa enters the scene and asserts with confidence that Matsubara is a wonderful class representative who values everyone. Hayato completely alters his tone upon realizing that she is the director of the institution. He backs off from immediately punishing Matsubara and offers an explanation. He promises to take care of things later as he and the deputies exit the gym. Yuko then apologizes to Matsubara for not being able to stand up for him. He apologizes for involving her in this issue and assures her not to worry about it. Over the course of a few days, Yuko's obsession with Matsubara grows. She observes that he never snaps at anyone and always welcomes them with politeness. However, Hayato and his subordinates are unimpressed with his mannerisms and remain incensed about his peculiar headwear. They confront Matsubara in front of other children after stopping him on the school premises one day. Matsubara receives a warning from Hayato to remove his paper bag, or he will remove it himself. He reaches for the bag, but Yuko grabs him before he can get to it. She claims that Matsubara is a very good man, and that he is free to wear anything he wants. But rather than being surprised by her words, Hayato seemed to be more taken aback by her attractiveness. He begs her to take off his arm before bolting from the scene. Then a flashback sequence shows how Matsubara, Kawaku, and Midori get acquainted. Midorikawa started to feel drawn to him when they were seated next to each other during the admission examinations. She now finds him by himself in the classroom and goes up to talk to him. After inquiring as to if he can recall their initial meeting, she reaches for his face. They are unaware that Yuko appears outside the classroom and misinterprets the entire scenario. Over the course of the days, Midorikawa starts to approach Matsubara more and more. She even gives him numerous bags of various colors one day in class. Now that the two are dating, the entire class is talking about it. Subsequently, Matsubara contacts Yuko and inquires as to which of the bags Midorikawa provided is the most attractive. She counters that he appears to be in his best light right now. The identical simple brown paper bag is worn on Matsubara's head when he arrives the next day. However, the feelings on the bag shown in pencil have altered. He used to have a straightforward smiling face, but now it has a laughing emoticon. When Yuko later runs into Hayato in the locker room, she assumes he's upset with her for holding his hand the other day. He's actually infatuated with her and can only speak meaningless phrases. Then, after hearing her English teacher's summons, she dashes to the office. The English instructor instructs Matsubara and Murarakawa to return the notebooks to the classroom as soon as they arrive at the office. However, because Murarakawa is the school director's daughter, the instructor opposes her doing so. Rather, he asks Yuko to assist Matsubara with the assignment. But Matsubara asserts that since Murarakawa is a class representative just like him, she ought to go with him on the assignment. She is happy with this, but Yuko starts to wonder if they are really dating. After a few days, our hero at last starts to see that Yuko has changed from her joyful, chatty personality. He approaches his buddy Yuichi to inquire about potential explanations, but he never receives a specific response. Instead, he is given a flavored melon bread by Yuichi, who requests that he share it with Yuko. Following Yuichi's recommendation, Matsubara gives Yuko the melon bread over lunch that day. She offers him the bento box her brother made her in exchange. As the topic of conversation shifts to their personal lives, it becomes clear that Matsubara also has an elementary school-aged brother. Yuko wonders what he looks like, but she swiftly retracts her statement after thinking that it would offend Matsubara. Hayato's obsession for Yuko persists throughout the meantime. He hopes to talk to her when he arrives at her class, but when he can't find her, a fellow student approaches him and asks if he has any messages for her. Hayato attempts to speak, but in the end he stumbles over his words. He leaves embarrassed and runs into Midorikawa in the hallway. She claims to be cheering for him since she can tell he genuinely likes Yuko. He says he will pop the question to Yuko at his own pace when she wants him to do so. This idea of holding off until the perfect moment truly strikes Murarakawa, and she intends to apply it to her one-sided love for Matsubara. At another location on the rooftop, Matsubara and Yuko converse over lunch. She realizes that Matsubara's secret could be personal to her, even if she's intrigued to see the true face behind the paper bag. She thus doesn't want to coerce him into telling it. Before class is let off that evening, Yuko receives a call from Hayoto's deputies to the student council chamber. They arranged for her to have a private meeting with Hayoto there. He shows up shortly after and the two have a deep chat. Hayoto clarifies that he merely wanted to talk to her and never meant to become mad with her. Yuko, who claims she has always thought of him as a stern, frightening guy, exhales with relief at this. But in actuality, he's simply an ordinary, good-hearted person. However, at the library, Matsubara bumps into Murarakawa. He declines her request for him to show her his face in private. She becomes a little angry by this, but then there are rumors going around that they're dating. After hearing this rumor, Yuko makes the decision to roast some pumpkins at home. Yuko now intends to win Matsubara over by preparing his favorite meal, which he disclosed to be his favorite cuisine a few days earlier. The day after that, Matsubara leans out to touch Yuko's face over lunch. He is obviously drawn to her purity and can't resist reaching out to touch her. Yuko sneezes as his hand approaches her, despite the fact that she finds nothing offensive about the gesture. Matsubara is startled back to reality by this and pulls his hand back right away, ashamed of what he was going to do. Then, after telling Yuko a falsehood about needing to see a teacher, he leaves. In the following scene, Yuko discovers Matsubara by himself, munching on the pumpkin candy she had previously given him while sitting on the school steps. He informs Matsubara right away about the story he heard earlier and notes that Yuko appeared to be rather troubled by it. Then, a startled Matsubara admits that he couldn't tell Yuko how much he loved her unless he first revealed to her the secretary's paper bag secret. He feels like a coward for not disclosing his secret right now, though. Yuichi suddenly gets an idea from a banner he sees outside of a restaurant. He would want to ask Yuko to a summertime barbecue picnic. Matsubara will have ample opportunity to emphasize that he is not genuinely dating anyone at this period. Two females in the classroom discuss Matsubara and Murarakawa's relationship in another place. When Yuko, who is watching from close, learns this, her heart breaks. But Midorikawa steps up and declares clearly that she is not seeing Matsubara. She then invites Yuko to go with her so they may have a private conversation outside of class. When they go outside, Midorikawa admits that she has a biased opinion of Matsubara. Nothing is happening between the two. Yuko is perplexed after hearing this and questions why Murarakawa is telling her all of this. President of the Student Council Hayoto makes another request for a private conversation with Matsubara. He tells her straight out that he likes her, and that he would strive for her affections. Matsubara, perplexed, tries to ask Hayod why he is telling him this, but the latter walks away without responding. Matsubara then makes his way back to the school's main building, where he immediately runs into Yuko. During the summer vacations, he invites her to go on a barbecue picnic with him and Yuichi. Yuko joyfully accepts the offer as she is thrilled about it. Yuichi, Matsubara, Yuko, and a fellow student go on a barbecue picnic in the following scenario. Yuko and Matsubara become closer as a result of their precious time spent together there.